For 500 years, the playbook for ultimate power has been hiding in plain sight. Written by Niccolo Machiavelli, The Prince wasn't just a manual for rulers. It was a masterclass in psychological warfare. And today, the world's elites still use its darkest secrets to manipulate, control, and command. You've been told to be kind, to be fair, and to play by the rules. That's because the powerful need you to be predictable. In this video, we're exposing the 12 psychological weapons they don't want you to know. Tactics designed to dismantle enemies, command respect, and give you absolute control. Once you learn them, you'll never see the world the same way again. 1. The first weapon: appear virtuous, act ruthless. People are creatures of perception. We judge each other not by secret intentions, but by what we can see. This creates a fatal gap between appearance and reality, a gap the powerful have learned to exploit. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." The lesson is clear. Public virtue is a performance. The master manipulator projects an image of mercy, faith, and integrity to win over the masses. They talk about unity and shared values. Behind closed doors, when their power is on the line, they act with calculated brutality. Think of the tech CEO who preaches work-life balance in public while pushing a culture of burnout to crush competitors. Their moral image is a shield. It lets them make ruthless decisions without facing public backlash, because to the world, they're a force for good. Master this, and your actions become untouchable. The second weapon: rule through fear, not love. Love is a beautiful thing, but as a tool for power, it's dangerously unreliable. Love is conditional, built on a fragile sense of obligation that, as Machiavelli noted, is broken at every opportunity for their advantage. Fear, however, is primal. It's rooted in self-preservation, and a leader who commands it ensures obedience. We've softened the language today. We call it respect, high standards, or a no-nonsense attitude. But at its core, it's fear. A manager who is loved might get ignored when hard demands are made. But a manager who is feared for their tough standards and swift consequences will always get results. This doesn't mean being a tyrant. Machiavelli warns that being hated leads to rebellion. The goal is to create a dread of punishment which never fails. Be feared for your competence and your intolerance for mediocrity. Affection is a bonus. Compliance is a necessity. The third weapon: keep allies dependent and enemies weak. Power is relative. Your strength isn't measured in a vacuum. It's measured against those around you. The moment an ally becomes your equal, they stop being an ally and become a rival. Machiavelli taught that a wise leader never lets anyone get stronger than they can control. This weapon exploits the human need for security and the fear of being cast out. In the corporate world, you see this with CEOs who structure their teams so no single person holds all the keys. Each VP has a vital role, but they depend on the CEO and each other to succeed. They can't move against the leader without blowing up their own power base. In the same way, a smart leader doesn't always crush a rival company. Instead, they might buy a partial stake or form a strategic partnership that keeps the rival weak but still useful. Power isn't just about gaining strength, it's about managing the strength of others. The fourth weapon: weaponize emotions as a form of puppetry. To the Machiavellian mind, emotions aren't random feelings, they're levers. Hope, envy, doubt, and desire are strings you can pull to make people move. If you can control the emotional landscape, you can control the people in it. By understanding what someone fears or craves, you can guide their actions without them ever knowing they're being steered. Consider the political strategist who, instead of attacking a rival directly, leaks subtle information to create doubt and infighting within the rival's camp. They don't fight the person, they manipulate the emotional environment till the person defeats themselves. In a negotiation, a master manipulator might offer praise to inflate their opponent's ego, making them overconfident and careless. Or they might feign disappointment to trigger guilt and get concessions. You aren't arguing with a person, you're playing their emotions like an instrument. Master this, and you'll never have to win a direct fight again. The fifth weapon: exploit self-interest over morality. Forget appealing to a person's better nature. It's rarely in the driver's seat. Appeal to their self-interest. Machiavelli knew that men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and covetous. They'll break any bond of loyalty if it benefits them. A leader who builds their power on moral pleas is building on sand. A leader who builds on calculated self-interest is building on solid rock. This is the entire basis for modern capitalism and corporate incentives. A sales team isn't motivated by speeches about the company's noble mission. They're motivated by a commission structure that rewards their personal success. A politician wins votes not by asking for selfless patriotism, but by promising tax cuts, benefits, and security for the voter and their family. The rule is simple. Find out what people want, then frame your goals as the fastest way for them to get it. Morality is a luxury, self-interest is a constant. The sixth weapon: maintains strategic unpredictability. A predictable leader is a vulnerable leader. If your enemies can see your every move, they can set traps. If your followers know your patterns, they'll learn how to game the system. Machiavelli championed the dual nature of a leader. Be both a lion and a fox. The lion has overwhelming force, but the fox is smart enough to see the traps. By switching between these two, you keep everyone around you on their toes. A CEO might be known for a data-driven approach for months, leading everyone to expect rational moves. Then, suddenly, they make a bold, intuitive acquisition that shatters the market's expectations. In a negotiation, an unpredictable person might follow intense aggression with disarming silence. This forces the other side to constantly second-guess themselves, making them anxious and prone to error. Don't be the storm everyone sees coming. Be the earthquake that strikes without warning. The seventh weapon: frame their reality. Real power isn't just the ability to act, it's the ability to define the context in which actions are judged. The ultimate weapon is controlling the narrative so completely that your version of reality is the only one that matters. Machiavelli knew perception is reality. Whoever controls the language controls the thoughts of others. This isn't just about lying, it's about framing. A firing becomes a strategic restructuring. An interrogation becomes an enhanced interview. A political loss is framed as a moral victory. This language doesn't just soften the blow, it redefines the event itself. A skilled leader can make their followers see a pay cut as a shared sacrifice for a greater cause. They can sell manipulation as protection. By controlling the frame, you make people prisoners of your story, forcing them to argue on your terms. The eighth weapon: use propaganda and spectacle. Let's be honest, people aren't creatures of pure logic. We're moved by symbols, stories, and grand gestures. A leader must be a master of spectacle, using public displays to generate awe, fear, and devotion. Machiavelli's prime example, Cesare Borgia, was a master of this. After conquering a region, he put a cruel minister in charge to brutally restore order. Once the job was done and the people hated the minister, Borgia had him publicly executed, his body cut in two and displayed on a wooden block in the piazza. With one act of brutal theater, Borgia satisfied the people's anger, cemented his own authority, and created a legendary spectacle of his power. In the modern world, spectacle is everywhere. It's the billionaire's highly publicized donation that overshadows questionable business practices. It's the politician's massive rally, packed with flags and music, designed to create a feeling of overwhelming momentum. These acts aren't about policy, they're about perception. They bypass critical thought and speak directly to the primal parts of the brain that respond to awe and power. The ninth weapon: offer the illusion of choice. Here's a simple truth. People don't resist what they believe they chose. The desire for control is a fundamental human drive. A wise leader doesn't fight this drive, they channel it. By offering a limited set of options, you give people the feeling of control while making sure any choice they make serves your purpose. This tactic is everywhere. A manager who needs you to work on the weekend doesn't ask, "Will you work this weekend?" They ask, "Would you prefer to come in on Saturday or Sunday?" A company looking to push an unpopular policy might create two versions of it and let employees vote on their preference. The employees feel heard, but the policy was always coming. This gives you the power of a dictator with the appearance of a democrat. You aren't taking away their freedom, you're just building the maze where they use it. The 10th weapon, let them underestimate you. In a world obsessed with showing strength, one of the most powerful weapons is to be systematically underestimated. Machiavelli advised that a leader must be a great pretender and dissembler. This includes pretending to be less smart, less ambitious, or less dangerous than you really are. When your opponents see you as no threat, they let their guard down. They speak freely, revealing their plans and weaknesses. Think of the quiet board member who never says a word, letting the louder egos battle it out. They're dismissed as harmless, but they're listening, gathering intel, and waiting. When the time is right, they make a single decisive move, backed by all the information they gathered while being invisible. Let others chase the spotlight. Real power is often found in the shadows, where you can see everyone, but no one can see you. The 11th weapon, strike decisively, never wound. If you have to get into a conflict, you finish it. Machiavelli warns that injuries must be done all at once, and they must be so severe that you don't have to fear revenge. A person you've merely wounded will harbor resentment and wait for the perfect moment to strike back. You've just created an enemy for life, but a person whose power you have completely and utterly dismantled cannot harm you. This is a brutal but practical lesson. In a corporate takeover, a ruthless leader doesn't just fire the rival CEO. They remove their entire leadership team and install their own loyalists. They don't just win the battle, they erase the enemy's ability to ever fight again. This applies to any conflict. Half measures just create future problems. If you must act like the lion, don't deliver a scratch, deliver the final blow. As Machiavelli would say, you must either caress or crush. There is no middle ground. The 12th weapon, consequences over ideals. The final and most profound weapon isn't a tactic, it's a complete mindset shift. You must learn to judge actions by their results, not their intentions. The world doesn't reward you for meaning well, it rewards you for being effective. A kind ruler whose hesitation leads to the invasion and slaughter of his people is not a good ruler. His virtue led to destruction. A pragmatic ruler who makes a hard, even cruel decision that ensures peace and prosperity for millions is a successful ruler. This is the ultimate burden of leadership. It means being willing to get your hands dirty to achieve a greater good. You must look at history not as a moral fairy tale, but as a collection of data on what works and what fails. This isn't about being evil, it's about recognizing that in the world of power, necessity has its own morality. While others are trapped by their ideals, you will see the world as it truly is, a game of consequences. The principles of Machiavelli aren't about good or evil, they're about power. They are a mirror reflecting the hidden truths of human nature and the timeless mechanics of influence. If you've found clarity in this video, like and subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of power. These 12 weapons are not a call to tyranny, they are a defense against it. By understanding how manipulation works, you become immune to it. By understanding the strategies of power, you can see them being used all around you, in the news, in your workplace, and in your own life. You're now faced with a choice. You can return to the comforting lies society tells you about fairness and morality. Or you can accept the world as it is and begin to operate by the rules of reality, not the rules of hope. The choice, as always, is yours.